What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is the Devil Dog. Welcome back. We are doing another video. This time we're going to be talking about the new Balance Update 1.9. It includes a lot of information. You're going to have a restructure of the tech tree. You're going to be losing some vehicles off of the tech tree, but they're going to go into what's called the collectible vehicles. And there's some rebalancing and some other items that's going to be coming up. So why don't we go ahead, jump right in it, see what's going on. All right, first off, this is the last iteration of the sandbox. This is what was going on through the sandbox, the testing, the questionnaire, everything. They said that they would come back to it and talk about it in a little bit more detail, in which they have. And says after the last iteration of the sandbox, we needed some time to analyze the statistics and results of the questionnaire. And they're thankful for everybody that contributed. I know that there was a lot of stuff that not only the CCs, the community as a whole, but just everybody in World of Tanks in general put into this and threw it back to the game developers. I saw firsthand some of the information that was being sent back, and it was detailed. There was a lot of negative that was brought up, and they looked at it, and this is going to be some of the results of that. But anybody that was involved in the sandbox testing, I personally thank you, and I'm sure that Wargaming does. They've said it multiple times in this. It is really important when they have a sandbox or a common test or anything like that that they're bringing out for the general public to test and to try out, that you get involved as much as you can and try to help the game develop. And without that, we can't expect a better product for all of us to use. So let's check it out. So what's next? We're currently working on the following: most successful solutions from the latest iteration of New Balance. So low tiers are going to get HP and ammo capacity, ammo rack capacity. So that what that means is they're going to have a higher HP pool, but to counterbalance that, they're going to receive more ammo. What this is going to do is allow the low tiers to last a little bit longer, so you don't just get melted, by a machine gun light. You're going to be able to experience a little bit more gameplay. And there's going to be some actual changes to low tiers that we'll get into when the tech tree changes. But it should change the general aspect and feel of the game for low tiers, for new players to experience more of the game and kind of get in there a little bit more without just being trotted to death. They're also going to do tech tree changes, which we brought up as well, and then the collector's vehicles. They said, judging from your feedback, the overall reaction to these features have been positive, so they're going to release them in the upcoming update of 1.9. Alright, so first off, the HP and ammo rack capacity increase for low tier vehicles. During the sandbox test, they increased HP pools and decided to slightly adjust the new HP values from tiers 1 through 6. I personally think 1 through 6 are low tier, and 7, 8 through 10 are, higher tiers. But some people kind of take that down a notch, 1 through 5. And then 6 through 8 are your median. So they're going to do it 1 through 6, which is interesting because tier 6, to me, in my opinion, is right at the cuff of change from basic to intermediate and a little bit better gameplay, better tanks. You get some of your better premium tanks. So it's interesting that they're actually including tier 6 in that, but we'll see what happens. So the increased overall performance, effectiveness, and survival time in low to mid-tier battles, making them more enjoyable. Like I said before, low tiers, which I'm playing the Strava M42 right now, tier 5, Swedish medium, and I'm grinding through that line currently as we speak. In those low tiers, you can get just demolished in a matter of seconds, and if that continues to happen game after game, and you don't have a chance to learn to, okay, I got to back up, let's not try that, and you just get melted. It was actually one of the reasons why I don't play War Thunder. A lot of people ask me, have you tried War Thunder? Do you play War? No, I don't anymore. Because you literally go through the battle, get shot once, and die. And then you got to restart all of that all over again. It wasn't enjoyable, in my opinion, to sit there and continuously just either wait for forever for something to happen, or you immediately move up to the battlefield and get taken out in one shot. So this is why I kind of lean toward and enjoy World of Tanks, because it is more of an arcade shooter. You do have a little bit of a chance to make some mistakes, counterbalance them. There's been plenty of games that I've had 5 health and cleaned up 3 more tanks. So that overall HP pool at lower tiers is going to make the game a little bit more friendly for new players to learn and to adjust to higher tiers when they do have that higher HP pool, and get them more in tune with the rest of the game. A more comfortable transition to top tier vehicles. This is something that I was going to explain in the tech tree changes. You'll see those a little bit more. A more consistent durability progression from tier to tier. I have seen some of this. You will see, like I said, the HP pools to go up. So the way they have things structured in the new update, and a lot of this stuff is going to be explained perfectly when you see the tech tree changes. There's not such a jumble of tanks early on that it makes it so confusing to follow. The tech trees followed very consistently, and you're able to break off, and it makes a lot more sense from going from a light tank to a medium tank to a heavy tank, instead of bouncing around and trying to figure out the paths that are going on right now. And additionally, they're going to proportionally increase the ammo rack capacity of these vehicles to compensate for the general increase in HP. I do apologize if I cough or try to clear my throat. As you all know, the coronavirus and the flu and the cold are all trying to hit us at the same time. So, again, I do apologize. Now, here's the meat and potatoes, the next 2 things of the update, I think. In my opinion, the tech tree changes. Let's bring this up. The tech tree interface will become more user-friendly and simple and clear. They've removed a lot of the fill. They've removed a lot of vehicles from the tech tree. You will still be able to purchase these tanks using credits. You won't have to, gain experience or anything like that. They'll all be for credits. So don't worry about that. Your tanks aren't going away anywhere. There's just going to be in a different location to try to clean up the tech tree, make it a little bit more user-friendly for new players, and try to clean things up. And at the same time, these tanks that are going to be removed will be in a different section of collectible tanks, and you'll be able to see those, and we'll get into that. After its visual date and the relocation of low-tier tanks, it'll be easier for everyone to navigate and calculate their optimal research path. It's interesting that the middle line is going to be your heavies. You're going to have your mediums, your TDs, and then on the top and bottom, you're going to have your light tanks and your SPGs. And then they basically explain that artillery's at the top, light tanks at the bottom. So let's take a look at this real quick. Of course, Russia, you're going to have your light tanks. Now, here's something that I found interesting in all of the tech trees. You will not be able to research SPGs into tier 5. So they're actually pushing a different aspect of the game to where learning other types of tanks other than SPG, which I think is going to get more people involved in the game. I know when I first started, and I'm sure when a lot of people start, SPG is a very user-friendly tank to use. You can see the whole battlefield. You don't have to worry about, angling your armor and getting in there and losing and all of this stuff that is basically vital to the game. You can just sit back and watch. And I find it interesting that they are taking that aspect away until you get more acclimated to the rest of the game. And then you can research SPGs. Now, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of already players chiming in and saying, this is a whole bunch of things. But you also don't have 6 or 8 different light tanks and 6 or 8 different items. That it's going to make the game a little bit more streamlined. You're going to have one line to go down. Once you reach a certain point, you can veer off and go to another line, such as in the Russian line right here. You'll have one line to go start down, lights to TDs, which can go and lead into arty, or you can go down the other way, which will lead into lights and mediums. And then, of course, once you reach your heavies, that will veer off into its own categories as well. So it's a more streamlined, more direct route to these tanks. Like I said, they've removed all of the... it was very confusing. If you look at it right now, this whole area is just filled up with tanks. I'm enjoying this change. This will allow players to advance a little bit, I wouldn't say faster, but faster. They will be able to focus on a specific line instead of having to start all back here and all the way down here. So if you wanted to learn your lights and your mediums, you could just go off the BT7 instead of learning 3 different lights and then progressing all through that. So it's a little more streamlined. You can check this out. I'll put the link down for all of this information. I'm sure you've already seen the information online. I think it's a good change. I think it's going to make a positive impact on the game. All right. So collectors' vehicles. Much of your feedback on the sandbox test concerned collectors' vehicles and related compensation. These are some of the hottest topics in the tank community. Losing tanks. Where are they going to go? We would like to emphasize one important thing once again. All 92 vehicles, 92, relocated from the tech tree, including the 4 Tier 9 and Tier 10 tanks, will stay in the game. After the collector's vehicle feature is released, all collectible tanks will remain in the garage and can be obtained at any time after the update goes live. So, in here it shows you, you're going to be able to click on the collectors tab. And then from there, you'll be able to visit what nation that you want to go to. Obviously, they're still working on it, so it's going to be a little bit obscured. The maximum tier of collectible vehicles available to you depends on the highest tier you have researched, which is, I think, one of the better changes. I've said a long time ago, there's no reason why somebody that has just got the game and has a Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, goes into the store, buys a premium tank or everything else like that, and is able to play high ranks with no knowledge of the game. I'm sure they're not going to be able to stop premium purchases, and they're not going to. But what they've done is restricted the amount of collectible vehicles you can get based off the tier that you have reached in the game. If you're only at Tier 5, you can only get Tier 5 collectible tanks. The collectible vehicles will be only for credits. Okay, XP won't be required. So, if there are any tanks that you have right now that are going to be on the removal list, and you're going to spend some experience to unlock them, I would wait until the 1.9 update, let it go into the collectible, and get it just for credits so you don't have to spend experience. See what tanks are leaving, see what tanks are going on, but don't waste your experience if that one tank's going to go out and the tech tree is going to close out, and then you can use that experience on another tank. Just keep in mind of that and see where everything's going. The cost of purchasing and selling vehicles and credits will not differ from the current rates. So they're not going to, for now, boost up the value of the tanks. It will also be much easier to obtain elite status for non-premium vehicles since you don't need to research the next tank in the branch. The stock versions of all tanks will be available, so after purchasing them, you can start upgrading their modules just like regular vehicles. The collectible vehicle is no different from its previous versions, and you can still obtain elite status, but much more easily. There will be 4 Tier 9 and Tier 4 vehicles. The 113, the T62A, the AMX-30B, the AMX-30 prototype. These vehicles will be removed. Some vehicles will be moved, to other tiers or even assigned to other classes. So some heavies will be reclassed as mediums, mediums reclassed as heavies, and so on and so on. So these are the vehicles that are going to be moved to other tiers, and it shows you. Some of them will actually move down, some of them will move up. It's all based on how they slimmed out the picking. So Valentines, cruisers, a lot of British tanks, vehicles assigned to other classes. So some of them are going to go from medium to light, medium heavy, heavy medium, all of that. Those are the tanks that you can see right there. And there are going to be 3 new tanks added to the game. Unknowing when this tank, if it's going to come out in 1.9 or a little bit later. The BT-5, a Soviet Tier 3 light tank. A T-6 medium, a US Tier 4 medium tank. And the Cavalier, a UK Tier 5 medium tank. Not sure exactly what they're going to replace right now. Not sure if that was in the map or not. Let's go to the British one. Cavalier Tier 5. Tier 5. So Cavalier, it's going to be right before the Cromwell, right between the Matilda and the Cromwell. So there you go. That's your basics of where it's going to go and what it's going to be replacing. Collectors' vehicles will make the branches of many nations simpler, but there's going to be some changes as far as medals. You can continue to enjoy having a tank, and in addition, they're going to be doing new medals to unlock collectors' vehicles. Now, with that, what will happen to the vehicles that are reclaimed from the tech tree? Yes, they will stay in the game. Some frequently asked questions. How do I get a collectible tank? Collectible tanks in each national tree will be available for purchase according to your maximum tier. If you research the Tiger 2 in the German tech tree, then the Jag Panther 2 and all other collectible German tanks of lower tiers will be available for purchase. What's the main difference between collectors' vehicles and regular researchable vehicles? Do I need to retrain crews to reassign them to collector vehicles? The main difference is how they obtained. You don't need to spend any XP researching collectors' vehicles. They're going to be strictly credit-based. In all other game aspects, everything is the same. So you will have different crews for them. I'm not sure if they're going to have some type of status to where you can use the crews on collector vehicles on tech trees, kind of like you do premium and tech tree vehicles. They didn't bring anything up like that. For the moment, I would say that crews are going to be, specific to those tanks just as they were normally in the tech tree. In a separate section of the game shop, which we've shown that already, that's where you're going to be able to purchase those collectible vehicles. So what will happen to the technical engineer and tank expert achievements? The technical engineer by nation and senior technical engineer achievements are applicable only to regular researchable vehicles. Tank expert by nation is still necessary to destroy all the tanks from all the complete nation, including collectible ones. So your tank expert by nation is going to include all the tanks that are in collectible and tech tree. We also aim to add new achievements for owning all the collector vehicles in the game, and 11 special achievements for owning the collector vehicles of a specific nation. So if you're into collecting medals and rewards and awards and all the fancy stuff that you can get on the back end, there's some extra medals that are going to be available. We've already covered the collector's vehicles cost. Will the collector's vehicles be rebalanced in any further provisions? So here's what they're going to do. Collector's vehicles and tech tree, any changes they make to the game are going to apply to all vehicles at the same time. It's not going to be a difference on those. So if they change Russian mediums or rebalance the game or anything, it's going to apply to all tanks. So you don't have to worry about that. Collector's vehicles relocating mechanics. All right, so this is going to get a little bit in there. If a vehicle up to and including tier 8 has been relocated to the collector's vehicles tab, then the next tier and all of the tanks of lower tiers will be automatically researched. This applies regardless of whether you purchased this or not. So all blueprint fragments of unresearched vehicles will be converted into the equivalent number of universal and natural ones according to the vehicle's tier. For example, a blueprint of the tier 4 vehicle will be compensated with 1 national and 4 universal blueprint fragments. This is a lot of information. I would suggest going back to this and rereading it. If you have already researched the relocated tier 9 through 10 vehicles, you can purchase them in the collector's vehicles tab at any time the 1.9 update goes live, regardless of whether you have researched any of the other tier 9, tier 10 tanks. So in that general balloon, again, if you have researched up to tier 8 in the game, in the tech tree, all tier 8 of that nation are going to be available for purchase. You don't have to research each individual tank that are being moved into the collector's vehicles section. So that's, again, don't research something that may be moved. Wait for it. Use your experience elsewhere. If that tank that you have all the experience on is the one that's going, I would spend my research then. All players who were approaching the 3 tier 10 vehicles but hadn't researched them and stopped at the tier 9 vehicles and also haven't researched any tier 10 vehicles will gain access to the tier 10 tanks of these nations after the game goes live. So it's throwing you a bone. You're going to be able to research those 3 that they're moving. All players who are approaching to the tier 9 but hadn't researched it and stopped at the tier 8 tank, the Batchat 12T, and also hadn't researched any tier 9 vehicles will gain access to the tier 9 tanks of the French nation in the collector's vehicles tab after the update goes live. So those are some freebies that they're throwing to you if you hadn't quite gotten there yet. There's a lot of information on the compensation. I researched the T62A through the T54 and didn't lock it until today. I still have some XP. What will happen to the XP that you have? If you have a tier 10 tank in the Soviet branch, wait until the update is released. This is some of the information I was giving you earlier. After that, you can get the T62A without spending the XP and just purchase it for credits. If there are no tier 10 tanks researched in your Soviet tank, you can spend this XP to research the OBJ 140 and automatically unlock the T62A. If you already have the 140, the T54 will gain elite status and you can dispose of the XP gained at your discretion. So it seems like there's a little bit of a gray area with the XP. That's why I say please research what tanks are going to be leaving the tech tree so you can better have an understanding and idea of where you want that XP to go. Because if you don't spend the XP and the tank is going down into the collectors, it's probably going to be lost. If you have a tank that has the XP on it and they're possibly removing one of those tanks that you were going to spend it on and putting another one in place, you'll be able to use that XP for the next one. So I wouldn't use your XP for that tank that may be going down to the collector's section. Just wait until that thing gets moved, then just buy it out, and then use that XP that you were going to use on it on the tank that is replacing its position. So just get yourself a little bit knowledgeable of what tanks are going to be removed and what tanks are staying, so that way you are able to make a better decision on where your XP is going to be spent. Can a new player purchase Tier 10 collectors vehicles? No. Because in order to gain access to the Tier 10 collectors vehicles, you must have a Tier 10 tank. Let's say I researched the Jag Panther 2 before March 23rd, but the new vehicle, the Jag Tiger, has not been unlocked. What will happen next? If you already have the Jag Panther 2 in your garage, it will stay there. If not, you can purchase it in the game store in the collectors vehicles tab. In this case, the Jag Tiger will be searched automatically. Will there be restrictions on playing in the collector's vehicles in some modes, tournaments, or game events? Collector's vehicles will have no restrictions with all researchable tanks. So don't hesitate to play them in all existing game modes. So they're not going to put restrictions on all of those items. So obviously they've got a lot of information here, a lot of questions that were brought out, and a lot of things that they still probably have to work out. And again, they say, thank you for your feedback. We will get back to you. Stay tuned for more news. They've got a lot of special events coming out, game modes, Frontline, Steel Series. There's just so much that they're putting into the game. So you're going to have to stay up to date. Anytime any news comes out, I'm going to try to cover it. If you have any questions, you can always catch me on stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I also do some weekends, and I will try to put a video out as well. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment section below. I would love to hear your feedback, see how you enjoy the videos, if you'd like some other things added. And yeah, that's 1.9. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. I hope to see you back next time. This is the Devil Dog, signing out.